And good morning. Today happens to be Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022, as we record this. And this is things you might not have heard for this day, presenting the things in the news that happened over the last 24, 30-ish hours that may have caught your eyes or may not have caught your eyes, depending on how you are attending to this video today. Now, we present to you some of the top stories that were vetted by you that we put out on our feeds that we basically asked, hey, is this a good conversational story? Whether it's breaking news headlines, and we have some of those today, or if it's just sort of randomish, sort of out there stuff. There was a lot of things, a lot of interesting things to get into. So we have 5 stories that you'll probably be chatting about. And if not, you'll be glad that we told you about it so you can bring it up at your water cooler talk for the day. More details about what those feeds are and greater things that happens at our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, where you can also find out how you can help us keep things going by going to our sponsorships and our partnerships page. You can see more on that, and we'll talk more about that later on in just a moment as well. Let's get to the first story right now. We're rolling a little behind, so we're going to do this more or less speed round. We got the pithiness going on, so we're going to kind of blast through some things today. This is a story that is basically working still right now. Essentially about 9 o'clock a.m. Yesterday, in that range of time, there was a shooting and a bombing, if you will, just a terrorist act, we'll call it that, where at least a dozen are injured in a Brooklyn subway shooting during rush hour. New York Post gave us this original headline. It is still developing, of course. Right now, there are people on the scene. They're doing news reports live from the subway scene. This was a big deal because Brooklyn was going to host last night, or did host last night, a game for their playing game for the playoffs, that's being the Nets for basketball. And the general public and panic going on. We'll even talk about that, teasing this for a while, because this is going to be a story that will drag for a bit. Right now, we believe 10 people were shot and about 20 or so people were injured in the attack in the morning. There's a person of interest out there. We'll talk a little bit about it. We'll kind of gloss that over in a bit going forward. And they're still looking for a whole lot of information on this one. The New York Post will not be your main source of this one. This, of course, is mainstream breaking news that's going to be all over the place as they dig in this one. New York City, not the capital of the United States or the capital of the world, but a pretty big center of everything, including for media. That's where most of the news media basically broadcasts from here in the United States for your mornings. So that's where a lot of people have lots of assets, easy to put down on the ground at New York City or subway. And this is a if it bleeds, it leads thing, and people will be hung onto this one for a while, especially since this is the first time in a long time we've had a domestic terrorist type thing, which seems to be an actual like American dude doing things. And we'll get to that, more of that in a bit. And this is the first time we've had something just as shocking happen in a while that could have been worse. Remember, these are things that when you talk about it could it be worse, this is a case where, trust me, it could have been a lot worse. This is something we'll be digging with more probably this week or the next 2 days this week, and of course more in the next upcoming weeks and months once we finally figure out what goes on and hopefully bring someone to justice. Very disturbing details emerged from witness of fatal Dwayne Haskins highway accident. NewYorkPost.com giving us this story as well. The Post all over things today. And now the Post gives us an interview with one of the people who witnessed the accident. This was, of course, Dwayne Haskins, the who was set to be a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, hit by a dump truck on a freeway a few days ago. You have to basically go click on the link inside of the details and go deeper into the story to get his full account. But the whole incident, as we told you, this was something that was probably going to be something we get more details and more updates on. That's just what happened. It became more than just an accident where a dump truck just sort of swerved into traffic. There's more to this story than there is in the headlines, and then the headline can actually display. So you want to go deeper into this one. The witness basically talking about what Haskins essentially being in the road and cars swerving around him, and a whole lot of just things that do not look good for any sort of sense of a traffic incident. Look into the story. This is something that also will probably be more detailed going forward. This was really big. I'm not surprised how big it was, and even beyond this, the kind of like when we presented the crassness of the original messaging from Adam Schefter from ESPN, trying to let us know about this. This is something that if he were not a famous football star, we still will be talking about this because just the bizarreness of the whole incident. Read the details. Check out the witness account, and then we'll probably bring this up more for more details. This is something you definitely want to have a chat about, especially if you have younger people who drive, about being careful when they're stuck in the roadways. Our third story today, we finally find justice for that Boris Johnson guy who's being fined by police over lockdown breaking parties at UK government premises. UCNN.com gave us this one. And yeah, there were more important stories and more bigger stories and more actually interesting and goofier stories in this one. But this is one that has actual consequences, or has someone taking consequences, a person in power, a person in charge taking on consequences, as things may be. During the serious lockdowns they had in Great Britain, and they had some serious lockdowns in the UK where people literally couldn't leave the house unless they're going to the grocery store, and only people who go to work were restaurant owners and grocery store owners and some pub owners, and hours were shut down, and you couldn't gather more than 3 people, something like that. Boris Johnson and his staff had, like blazing drunken parties at his Downing Street house and working complex. It'd be like Trump having parties and making people not wear masks and having big gatherings at the White House during outbreaks of COVID himself. Oh, wait a minute. He actually did all that stuff. Anyway, Boris Johnson is going to be fined by police because there were serious investigations on what was going on. And like I said, including like drunken debauchery type parties for holidays with the staff, unmasked, lots of alcohol, lots of just sort of sitting around during the times where people were supposed to be locked down and staying away from folks. Justice has finally come for Boris Johnson. Yes. Yes. Rachel Maddow goes to a once-a-week schedule on MSNBC. Rachel Maddow returned this week, last Monday or 2 days ago, as we do this thing, to tell the world she's sort of back. Sort of. We suspected that Rachel Maddow's next move was going to be a weekly show, and that is what it is. There was a suspect that it was going to end up being a weekend show. She wipe out one of the guys, or guys and gals are taking over the weekend shows at the weekend gigs, and just do a long form weekend show, or a monthly show, doing like specials, doing documentary type things coming up. But she's going to do a regular deal. It's just only going to be once a week, like we said. So Rachel Maddow coming back, and that's going to happen. She'll do her show. She'll do once a week. The rest of the thing will go on as it is. It's going to cause some wrecks and some serious effects for the schedule in MSNBC. Some serious heartburn and some issues for people trying to figure out what the station's all about, who the flagship person is going on. There may be some fights going back. And in fact, Keith Olbermann actually brought his self back in the point to remind folks that MSNBC made sure they said they didn't want him back. But Rachel Maddow not quite coming back. She's still having fun, if you will, or doing great stuff with all the other larger things she has. So if you got the other things to do, it's great to do. And she wants to keep her foot still planted in the MSNBC role, which is good. Always great to have that other gig on the side to keep you things going. But no longer having Rachel Maddow to kick around 5 days a week, just once a week. And finally, we're going to end this one on a sadder note. Gilbert Gottfried, the comedian and actor, died yesterday at the age of 67. APnews.com has this story that we pulled from. And there have been plenty of tributes and a few slights on Gilbert Gottfried going out over the last 24 hours. And such. We know him for the voice. We know him for the weird tics and the weird facial expressions. We know him for being a pretty vulgar and pretty kind of nasty comic. In fact, yesterday, the biggest things going across the internet was the fact that we lost both in this year, Bob Saget, or in the years of time, Bob Saget and Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried, the dirtiest tellers of the joke, the aristocrats, with, of course, Bob Saget being the king, Gilbert Gottfried being a slightly distant second, but second in telling the dirtiest joke in the world for all the world to hear and just cringe at. Gilbert Gottfried, who, of course, did years worth of many great things and had some pretty big slights and some controversies lately as well, has passed at the age of 67. One of the greatest things that we're hearing about him is the fact that Gilbert Gottfried, despite being a vulgar and weird kind of comedian, was a great family man. And believe it or not, that voice, not his real voice, although he basically talked in that voice all the time, except for being at home with family and for just like actual conversations with actual friends where he just talked like a regular person, not have the whiny pitch voice thing. We're going to send out our thoughts and prayers, love, and all the hugs and kisses we can to the family of Gilbert Gottfried, to the friends and the co-workers in the comedy world and the acting world that will miss him as well, and to all of us who are fans who will miss him going forward. Quick look at our teaser story for today, going into tomorrow. I told you we go back to the shooting in New York City. I told you go back to the fact that the person of interest. I told you the fact that this is an American dude. This is where it gets interesting. We have a couple stories out there floating around, including a link that is already posted about the person of interest in this shooting. He's a black male. There's more details out there to see. You can go to our feed and find your news story or check out any news story on that one. Last night's bombast from the Fox News anchors as the person of interest was being detailed as a black person is the fact that Jesse Waters and Tucker Carlson all took swipes at the media because they're going to bury the story of the subway shooting because the person of interest is black. Those words came out of their mouths. They're going to just stop talking about this thing and just let it kind of slide because a black guy did the shooting. A black guy did the terror attack. A black guy did it. Now, let's be frank right now. They're not saying that this person of interest right now is the actual shooter, the actual attacker. The person is basically the person who rented out the van that they found near the scene of the crime and has done some not so great things and said some not so nice things about things in New York and Mayor Eric Adams. However, he's still the person of interest. They've not found him yet. And so the only thing you can target, because you can't just say this is a bad thing, this is horrible, we should not be so mean to each other, is the fact of saying that, oh, we're just going to put this on the rug because the black guy did it. Even though we know other people who did lots of stuff like, January 6th, where there were cameras rolling, a lot of white guys did a lot of white stuff to a big old white building, and they are prisoners of political prisoners for vandalizing a public building, a federal building, if you will. Tucker Carlson, Jesse Waters said them words yesterday. We will talk about them if you choose to talk about them in a moment. And how does it happen? We will give you those details in just a bit. But first, let's take a quick break to make a little cash. That is the Bear Mattress. That is our sponsor for the day. This is the conversationproject.com/bear mattress is your place to find a great deal on a great mattress. Plus, get up to $325 worth of free accessories with your mattress purchase. Get the best mattress in the world, or one of the best mattresses in the world. They have 4 different mattresses for you to get to. My old 4 horseman deal. Four different types of mattresses for you to lie down on, sleep on, take a rest on, and test for 365 days. And at that 366th day, you can call up and say, this mattress isn't all that great. Guess what? You're not going to do that, because on day 1, you're going to realize that you've been missing so much without having this Bear mattress in your life. Plus, you can get up to $325 worth of free accessories. That's pillows, that's sheets, that's other great things that go with your bed to help you in your sleeping. Check them out. This is an affiliate link, so we get a little bit back from this one. It costs you nothing extra. You get free sheets. Hey, and you'll get the best sleep of your life once this mattress arrives at your doorstep from Bear Mattress. Check it out, as this is the conversationproject.com/Bear Mattress. This is the conversationproject.com/Bear Mattress. Get your sleep on in a few days, because it's going to take a few days to get that thing to your doorstep, by the way. So the feeds, facebook.com/this is a conversation project and twitter.com/th_conversation is where we have our feeds. Every 50 minutes or so, we post news stories on those feeds. And if you go to your Twitter or your Facebook and you see us pop up in your feed, check out the stories that we have going on there. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. Make sure you read them, get the context, because that's the whole point of conversation, knowing what's going on. And you can join in the jamboree and help us figure out what we're going to talk about. Every single morning, about 5 in the morning, we pull all the news stories and we see what stories have the most engagement, what stories have the most likes, the most loves, the most hates and shares, and what stories seem most conversational via what people have picked out there. And of course, some algorithm work as well. We do fight some of the top breaking news stories so we get more of the sweeter stories in there. Some days it's work, some days a little better than others, but that's how we work out for that one. And that's how the feeds work. So check those out to see what's going on and be a part of the show, if you will. Well, the website is thisistheconversationproject.com, where you can find out more details about the project. Also links to all our sponsors that help us keep things going, and how you can become a partner with our channel. You can help us keep things going on your own. And our YouTube channel at thisistheconversationproject.com/YouTube. If you're not watching this on the YouTube channel, or someone sent you a clip, go to that link to follow us on YouTube. We're looking to get enough followers, enough subscribers, so we can change our name to something cool. We're not quite there yet. You can help us by going to YouTube and just subscribing. And of course, while you're there, go ahead and hit the notification bell so that you can get these things notifying you on your phone as they get up. Maybe we can be your alarm clock, even though we were about 15 minutes late getting started today. We try hard. Some other things you might not know for the day. Birthdays for the day. Guess who's still out there? Wally from Leave It to Beaver. Older brother Wally, Tony Dow, was 77 years old today. Hard to believe that he's only that old, if you will. But yes, Tony Dow is only 77 years old, believe it or not. Ron Perlman, who of course you know from being just normal badass guy, and from playing roles such as Hellboy and other great things, Beauty and the Beast from back in TV days. He's 72. Hard to believe he's that old. But yes, Ron Perlman is 72 years old today. And Rick Schroder, you know, you remember him from Silver Spoons. He successfully transitioned from a child actor to adult actor to go to NYPD Blue back in the day, doing all that stuff. I wonder what happened to him. I wonder what he's up to these days. I wonder what he's doing now. Anyway, he's got a birthday today, so send him love on the social media at 52 years old on this day. Also today, National Scrabble Day. I'm not sure when people still play actual tile Scrabble in homes. I know there's Scrabble versions on phones, and of course there is people playing Words with Friends, which is a Scrabble-ish thing. But pull out the old Scrabble board or find a new one, get a knockoff. No, don't worry about it. And play some word games. Use some words. Learn some stuff today. Have some fun with your words, celebrating your National Scrabble Day. One more thing you might not have heard for this day. Researchers have discovered that baby chicks, like humans, count from left to right. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea how to process that. We were running late today and it popped up as something brand new in research. So I figured I give it to you and maybe you can tell me what to do with it, or tell someone else what to do with it, or tell it to somebody else and they can look at you in disbelief and wonder what the hell you're talking about too. Baby chicks count from left to right. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. In the meantime, we're going to put the kibosh on today's version of the things you might not have heard. Checking through some of the links right now, saying good morning to some good friends. Christine with a K, my beautiful wife, is up. Also, mother-in-law Sharon, and big Vernon Wells out there working his stuff. So maybe you might use that baby chick thing for your news story for your broadcast today. I would say probably not, because it makes no sense. But now you know, and of course, knowing is half the battle. Make sure you stay limber, you stay hydrated, and you stay on task, because there's so many things that need to be done, and we need you around to do the things you do. There have been so many just weird and tragic losses of life in both the famous world and, of course, literally around my world that I know of. Some people who've lost lives of family members and friends. That right now is a time, as we roll into a time, if you're in Christianity, of resurrection, of rebirth. We need to make sure that we are basically resurrecting some of our old old companionships, our old and getting back to rebirthing in some time with great friends that we may have not been around with for a while, especially going into or in year 3 of pandemic stuff. At the Ramble stage, that's our cue to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us for the news today. We'll do it again, Lord willing, crypto-wise. I think we got one more day of deadly weather here in Central Arkansas, so that may be an issue. We will see. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Follow the feeds, keep up the stories, and be here with us tomorrow for the actual rundown. Hopefully on time, about 5:50, 5:45 in the morning tomorrow. Thank you very much.